I didn't realize how intensive they were working on the art until she came home one day and started telling me all about Picasso. I thought they were drawing, but as far as the history and those things, she became so excited.
It's made school not just about worksheets. It's made it about a whole learning experience.
That's why the visual arts, and really any art form, works so well with reading and the thought processing, because you're taking extraneous things, you're putting them together, and you're conceptualizing something. And sketching is kind of doing this, isn't it? Now, do we sketch dark?
No.
No. Now, these pencils are going to be a little bit darker than what you're used to, so you're going to have to even be a little bit more careful how hard you push down.
It taught me how to like what I do in class. Just gets me up to go to school along with my teacher every day.
And get that oval as symmetrical, that means the same on one side as the other, as you can. Okay, just like that. You're taking parts, you're putting them together to make something bigger, which is what you're doing with language and words with reading. She just created a what? An egg sac. What's in that egg sac? Babies, baby spiders.
I haven't ever seen her in a program where she just has flourished so much. In first grade, she was doing fine. She was just progressing normally, and they didn't have a lot of art integrated into the class. And so to see the huge jump, I can only imagine that that's the contributing factor, because it's such a big part of the classroom here.
What else did she say about it? It's what? Waterproof. What does that mean?
No water can get in.
Yeah, how many of you have something that you wear that's waterproof? Still lifes are really good to start with, because you're taking shapes, you're putting them together, you're talking about light and shadow, angles of things, different vocabulary words. So you're really creating that on a baseline level. Now, if we had this moved over like this, would that look good? Is that bad composition? It is. And it doesn't look right. Then after you take those symbols and those shapes with the still lifes, then you can integrate that into more complex things like faces. Now, each grape will be done just like a sphere. So I would just add a little bit of dark on the dark side. The thing with the kids, you know, that I think unless you work with kids you don't understand, is everything you do is on a fly, because you never know what the responses are going to be ahead of time. What side is the light coming from? Caitlin. Exactly. Can you see how you have little shiny things on each of the grapes? So when we shade our grapes today, are we going to have a little, it's almost like doing what? Who said eyes? Yes, George. It's exactly the same way as you do eyes. You've got to take what they say and try to put it in some sort of context. So you're constantly thinking and putting things together. And after you get sad, what do you think the author's going to want to do?
Make it happy.
He's going to do something funny to relieve the stress of everything being The most active the brain is when you're creating connections or analogies and drawing. It tires you out. The kids are really tired at the end of the day. And it's not from doing a ton of work, but it's because they're constantly processing information, accessing what they hear and bring that back to themselves in some sort of association. Or Planet of Dinosaur book, could that be a magnum opus?
Yeah.
Is that what you're going to say, Caitlin? And that is really hard to do for a long time. Okay, let's look at the picture. This picture tells you an awful lot. Number one, look at Templeton's stomach. It's fatter than it should be. So what does that really tell you? Yeah,
He's been eating too much.
Yeah, he probably ate too much.
Mr. Corey.
And if you remember, isn't that how they talked him into going to begin with? Tell him about what he didn't want to go, and they told him all the stuff that people would drop on the ground that he could eat. It makes the reading way easier for him, because their thought processing is more efficient and broader based. It makes reading easy for them. I kind of think it's the analogies and making connections, and then they attach the reading to that. And the visual arts go right along with that. What is in her egg sac? eggs. Where were the eggs before they were in the egg sac?
In her stomach.
That's right. So why did she shrink?
Because she's not so big anymore.
By doing it that way, I can select things that I know they can do. So it doesn't matter if they're at the top of the class or the bottom of the class, they can do it. And they're going to have success doing it, and success breeds success. And that positive reinforcement, because they draw so well, you know, their confidence just builds with that. And the visual arts, any kind of art form, music does the same thing too. Okay, what are we going to draw next? What are we going to do, Anya?
We're going to kind of go.
Yeah, a line that goes kind of... Right. The diagonal is a line that doesn't go straight up and down. It's a little bit at an angle. Good. It's more about taking symbols and extraneous data and combining it to a concept, to an idea. And you can do it with symbols, you can do it with words, you can do it with motions like dancing, you can do it with voice inflection, drama, and facial expressions. And when you do, especially the way I do Charlotte's Web, where I'm using, or any of these novels I'm doing, if you notice I use a lot of illustrations that they're interpreting and writing dialogue to go along with those, that really aids in that. And it works together with the visual arts and the reading, taking words and putting them together to make an idea too. It's all the same thing. I mean, they love thinking that way. And it's really hard for them at the beginning of the year, but now they can take anything and put it together. I mean, you could see it this morning. They were putting everything together, and I didn't have to prompt them very much. And it's because they're programmed to think that way now.
Integrating the arts, it integrates the very being, the human experience into the classroom.